Hi guys, my name's Ariana and I want to welcome you to the third episode of Ghetto Girl Gospel. We have a special guest, Gaby.
Hi, everybody.
A lot of you guys know her as 2soliid, but we're going to call her Gaby.
Yeah, thank you, because I did not ask to be called that, but thank you.
I'm so excited to have her here. We have a lot to cover. It's going to be a really good episode and I hope you guys are ready. I'm going to open up in scripture like I normally do. In this episode, there's going to be a lot of healing, I feel. We're going to talk about a lot. And I really just hope that the people that have gone through things in their life, that they can see what God has done, not only in my life, but in her life as well. And, you know, there's just some things in life that we don't understand why they happen, but we just have to trust God and his process for us. And so I just want anybody that is listening to this to know that no matter what you're going through, God has a plan for your life and you'll make it out of whatever you're going through. So we're going to start with Psalms 34, verse 17 and 18. The Lord hears his people when they call to him for help. He rescues them from all their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. He rescues those whose spirits are crushed. So just again, remember that no matter what you're going through or how hard things are in life, that God is with you through everything.
Amen.
And I just hope that you guys are just as inspired by her as I'm so inspired by you and your strength. And I just hope that everybody gets to see that and that I pray just for an open heart and that you're not afraid, you know? So let's get started.
I would love to actually start with how we met.
Yeah.
Because that to me is important to me.
Yeah.
haven't went to church in a long time. I've been a few years. And the first time I went, you were getting baptized. And I believe you were the first one, actually. And you had told your story. And I'm like, oh my God, I had got the chills. And I started crying. And I don't even know you. And I'm not a crier. I ask anyone. They're like, what the heck? It just reminded me why I went. And what brought me to God. You know what I mean? We do share a similar story. And I was like, oh my God. And then when your husband came down and then I started crying again, I was just like, oh, it was such a good day.
I know, it really was. Yeah. And I really do think that God placed you there for a reason. And because like how I told you before, I followed you for so many years before.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I ended up following one other person too, or finding out one other person's like, I've been following you for so long. She came up and hugged me and I'm like, hey.
Like she knew you forever, huh?
But it's okay. No, that was awesome.
Yeah. I really do believe that God placed us in each other's paths for a reason, especially with the sobriety thing, because that was like my biggest struggle at the time. And then hearing your story too, and like you just telling me certain things about your sobriety, it's helped me a lot on my walk with sobriety. So thank you for that too.
Yeah, no, thank you. How long have you been sober for now?
It's been a while, but so my biggest problem was like tequila, vodka, all that stuff, you know? So I haven't had any of that since last October. So next month will be a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I know. But I did relapse a little bit. Back in June, I had a couple beers. I still consider it relapsing, but other people are like, oh no, like it wasn't. No, but I'm like, no, I wasn't sober in my, you know? So it's hard.
I mean, my opinion is just take it with your heart. Just be kind to yourself.
Yeah. We're
already hard on ourselves as mothers, as, you know, just in life, period. So, you know, you're still doing a good job. Yeah.
Well, let's start with that then. How did you start with your journey of sobriety?
You know, I would like to clarify. A lot of people think that I got sober when my son passed away. I got sober the month before.
So crazy.
It's crazy. And we were struggling a lot and kind of living place to place. And I was like, God, you know, you do your big one.
Yeah.
God, please, I'd never drink again. And it wasn't over a hangover.
Yeah.
It was if we just get approved for this apartment. I had no credit, which is almost worse than
having bad credit. Yeah.
And I'm like, please. And it was in Stockton. I didn't know how I was going to, I don't know how I was going to do anything. I was like, I'll quit drinking. And I will never forget when, of course, we got approved. And then my aunt was like, oh, come on, let's take a shot. And I took a shot. And I was just like, oh, never again. literally was the last time that I drank, and it was like a shot. So August was 7 years.
Wow.
It's been a journey. It's crazy because I feel like a lot of the time people will say like, oh, it gets better. No, it gets easier to say no. There's a difference. Like me, I still want to like, everyone's vibing, having a cool time. I want to drink then. I don't want to drink when like bad stuff happens, I guess you can say. I'm like, man, the barbecue, the good food, I mean, beer,
dancing,
whatever, Hennessy and Red Bull, call me. But no, but yeah. So I had got sober the month before. In August was my 7 years, and then September, my son had passed, and I had to just, it was kind of strange. Everyone, of course, was around, but it was kind of quiet in a sense. My family's kind of looking like, is she gonna do it? So I had to sit them down like the first week, and I said, I just want to say something, and this is kind of like a trigger warning, I guess. I said, I'm not gonna kill myself, and I feel like they needed to hear that.
Yeah.
And you just hear, and they're like,
relief.
And I go, and I'm gonna try and get through this and not drink. And that was really it was the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Because I was 25.
You're so young.
I mean, I'm exposing my age, but it's okay. Don't do the math.
Yeah, don't do the math. Don't do the math.
That's, I mean, it's never a good time to lose a kid, but that's so young with no direction, I feel like. And then already having like a history. So, if you're not educated about addiction or kind of what comes with it, you don't have to drink every day. You don't have to do drugs every day. It's what you do with it. I made very poor decisions when I drank. And when I did, I had no moderation. I would drink to get drunk, drink to black out, and then everything else happened after that.
It would just be chaotic. Yeah, that's exactly how I was. It's like, I had to learn like, okay, I can have one, but then eventually like, it's never just one.
I wouldn't even tell myself that. I'm like, okay, I'm calculating. Okay, so when we get finished with the first bottle, how are we gonna get the second one? And then it is, and it's okay too. It's okay if you drink, and maybe you do drink once a month, but you get tore up and then you make a lot of bad choices. It's okay to just sit with yourself on that. You know what I mean? I think that was the hardest part. I blamed life, and I did watch, one of your stories about how you were just so angry. And I'm like, well, this person gets help, or this person has this made, and here I am like a single mom. And I mean, we blame everyone else. Yeah, I feel like at first, or what we go through in life and what position we're in, the cards that we're dealt. So yeah, I let that be a victim of a lot of things. Oh, I deserve it. You start to make up the littlest things.
Like I my favorite thing was like, oh, I'm entitled to my behavior because of the things I went through. But it doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't. It enables you for your bad actions. And then waking up with the regret. It's just a never-ending cycle. I got so tired of looking at myself, and one of the kind of like, I guess, breaking points of, I was like, I'm tired of this. I was up all night mixing alcohol, doing, I'll spare the details, but I had jumped out of a moving car. Me and my, at the time, boyfriend, but now, we got married, so my husband had got into an argument. I was just belligerent. You make up things in your head and you're mad at. It was like 6:00 in the morning, and he's trying to take me home, and I opened the door trying to get out because I'm mad, and he just like didn't realize, and I fell on the concrete, and I still have a scar to this day. Wow. I should have went to the hospital. I don't know how I survived that. I was bleeding for hours. Wow. I know. And then I just was like, when am I gonna fix that? Yeah. Not, get drunk, argue. Like, these were real life things that were like affecting. They were very poor choices. Yeah. To the extreme. Eventually, it'll catch up to you. Yeah.
It really does. It really, really does. And I feel like too, like realizing, when you finally realize like, I don't need this, it changes everything. And that's one thing, like, I remember in our, like, one of our first conversations that you and I had, I think I was like 7 months in and you were at your 7 years already. And I was like, how have you stayed so strong this long? And you're like, girl, 7 months and 7 years.
We are on
exactly the same.
Oh my God. I know. And I had seen that, you know, you had made a very vulnerable post, and anyone that's been following me throughout my journey, they know, I mean, girl, I tell my business literally. That's why I'm here. But I will. But I feel like that's for me to put out there for someone else.
Yeah.
I've put my pain out there, and I'm like, I don't care if it helps one person. The worst feeling that you can have on top of whatever you're going through is feeling alone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I was like, oh man, this girl has no idea I'm right there with her. Because I feel like now people hold me like on a pedestal, but I'm very down to earth, very humble.
Yeah.
Anyone that has met me, they know, like, I'm just a, you know, I just like to have fun. I'm a humble girl, and I love everyone, like, truly.
Yeah.
But that's just, if I can help, like, you know, we want to do now. Anyone that can hear us, just don't feel alone. And I love that we got to have that conversation.
I know, me too.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, the first time when I seen you getting baptized and you're talking, I was like, I just want to give her a big hug and tell her everything's going to be okay. Because I feel like even though I'm a little further down in my journey, that's the thing. I just wanted someone to tell me everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. Especially when you feel like you're doing it alone. Like, that's something you want to hear, like, that reassurance, you know, especially knowing that you're not alone. Because I know going through sobriety, especially when you have people around you that are still fighting their addictions, you know, or people that haven't realized that they have addictions, or they're enabling their addictions, you know, and they're like, it's okay, you know, if I have one, it's okay, you know. And so feeling like I was alone, because all my friends drank. Everybody around me, you know, once I stopped drinking, I feel like all my friends kind of were gone. Yeah. And that was hard. So when you were like, you're not alone, like, I'm here too, like, I'm here with you. 7 years, 7 months is the same. I was like, oh, it was like such a sigh of relief. And so I really feel like us talking about this is going to help a lot of women, because even if, like, it's like with the podcast, like with the page, you know it's not where I want it to be, but it's not my plan, it's God's, you know. Of course. And I could have 5 followers, I could have 1,000 followers, I could have 1 million followers, but if I'm reaching those few people and they're curious about God, they want to hear, they want to, you know, they want to know how he changed my life or what he's done for us. That's all it's for.
Yeah, I've been doing social media a long time. Yeah. And, you know, my followers it's pretty up there for me, at least, you know. And even back then, when I didn't even have a third of that, it's the people that you touch. Yeah. And that's all that matters, you know. Now I got all these kind of people that follow me that I'm like, it's whatever. But, you know, along the way, when I didn't have that, people were touched and people saved my life. You know what I mean? I had a community of people that helped me, but then them saying that I helped them too, you know. So it's gonna give back for sure. And it's a blessing that you're starting this and you're continuing in anything that's in your head that you're like, oh, maybe it won't work, or it's not, whatever this, it's gonna be blocked out. Yeah. Because people were messaging me when you posted and I reposted it, and we're like, oh my God, like, this is gonna be so amazing, you know. And these are like strangers for me too. Yeah. So for you especially.
Yeah, because I got a lot of messages too, and they're like, oh, we can't wait to hear it, like, I can't wait to hear her story. And I really, really feel that all of this is for a reason, and that you are gonna touch a lot of people's lives, and just with your strength, because that's one thing I've always admired about you. Like, even when I followed you before, like, I would always be like, how? Like, I couldn't even, you know, like you said, we both do have like similar stories, and I was not strong like that. It's like, you know, everybody's different. Everybody handles things differently. And I feel like that was my breaking point, you know, and I'm sure you too, like it broke you, but you know, you fought so hard, you know, because you could have just been like, screw the world, you know?
The person that I was before could have easily stepped in instead of this new. But I will tell you, of course, And it does, in a sense, and I don't want it to sound corny because it's so true. Like my family, right? They know, everyone that witnessed it in the very raw beginning of it, it was truly God. And there's things that came out of my mouth and I'm like, I would have never said that. Yeah. You know, so when, for those who don't know, like my son that passed away, he was almost like shy of 3.5 years old. And I wasn't there when he passed. So I had got the call. And then when I went all the way to the hospital and then found out that he passed, and I'm like, it's so, like, you know, my family's there. So everyone beat me there.
Wow.
I wasn't, I was the last one there. I turned off my phone. I was like, in the middle of Friday, San Jose traffic all the way to Castro Valley. I had to drive like far, right? And then I'm just like comforting everyone, which is weird, right? But I'm telling you, it truly was God. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, it was already written. Like, I'm just talking like a freaking crazy people. Like, people are probably like,
are you okay?
She's probably just in shock. Somebody call a doctor, you know? But it was things that I felt. And, you know, as kind of the days went on, I was just thinking, like, which is hard as a parent. It's our worst nightmare. But I was just thinking, like, man, he's lucky. You know, like, I know where he's at. He's safe. Like, it sounds crazy. I know it sounds so crazy. But, like, God placed that on my heart.
Yeah.
To just be like, it's okay, you know? And then there's, like, a side of me that it's a blessing and a curse, but I'm a very much, like, factual, like, it's either black or white type person. I'm not a what if person. So I will say I'm very privileged in that aspect.
Yeah.
What if this, I'm not really like that. Of course, my mind wanders sometimes, but I just thought, now what? You know? And then I hit the pavement straight to church. I tried a million churches. I tried anything, and I would go by myself. Like, you know, even at this age, we're still young. All of our friends drink. Yeah. Families too. I was going to a random church on a Sunday crying by myself, and people are like, you know, doing the worship, and it's a happy song, and I'm like breaking down crying. You know, I tried anything. And then that's when I met Alicia, was Yolanda's sister, and Yolanda and everyone started going to Captivate. And it changed me, because that's really what was the focus. I figured, as a mother, what would I be to him if I lost it all? Like, I can't do that. I kind of wasn't the best here, but I was making improvements, right? But I'm like, what would I be? What loyalty would that be to my child if I just let it go in vain, basically? And that's when I did anything and everything. And then church was huge. Of course, the main thing was God. Yeah. So I'm telling you, I got very, very lucky. And then you figure, if you go to church enough and Bible study and hang out with people from church, you really aren't going to have that much time to drink. Yeah. No, seriously. So then everyone's at my house partying, you know, and I'm like, I just got to go to my room. You know, you got to walk away.
Separate yourself.
Yeah. So I truly don't know besides God. Yeah. And I got very lucky. I can say people don't make it out of it. No. People die from a broken heart. I learned that was a thing physically, you know. People just drink themselves to death. And I said, wow, I would really hate for my mom to feel like this if I did that. Because if I would have drank, girl, I'd end up in a ditch somewhere. Truthfully. You know the feeling. Yeah. And I said, oh, I can't do that to her. So I felt really selfless in that aspect too.
See, that's so good though. Like, that just inspires me, because it's like, you know, I hit rock bottom at that point, you know? Yeah. And it's like you said, everybody, it's different for everybody, you know? Some people will just let their broken heart take over their lives and just drink their pain away. And that was me. And like I said, I remember always seeing when he first passed away, like, you always posting and just like, you still like staying positive, like even through something like that. Damn. I'm like, I would always think like, I can't even imagine, because he passed in 2017. Yeah. And then I lost mine in 2018. So then I used to just like watch your stuff all the time, you know. And I remember like sometimes I would be like, how selfish of me to feel this way, you know. And look at her. Yeah,
like, she's a fraud.
Like, you had like it's like, you know, like my child passed away in my womb. Like you had years with Marley. So like I feel like we have the same pain but also different, because I lived with the what if, like what life could have been, you know. And I'm sure you had the same things at times, you know, like, oh, or still do, you know, like what would Marley be like, you know, and like you think about things like that. But you were so strong to just keep going, and knowing now that he was your motivation that's beautiful. Like
thank you.
He's definitely with you, and I really feel God prepared you, because your heart was so, like, to hear what you were saying, how you're comforting everybody else, like that's a heart of God.
People really looked at me like, okay, she's gonna crack soon. I mean, thank God I never did, but it's a possibility.
Yeah.
But I just was like, you know, there's that famous like picture on the beach where you have the two footprints walking next to each other, and then there's one, and that's like God carrying me. Like that's truly, I have nothing. It almost was like I wasn't even there. I truly felt like I was carried in a sense. So and that's all. That's why it was so important for me to come on here with that message, because, you know, that's just the answer. I have no secret at all. And of course I put in the work too. I went to the child loss support groups. I went to like Bible study every Sunday. Like I said, I really tried. I worked a lot. You know, I kept my head, you know, which it paid off eventually with the, you know, I am blessed for a successful career. But at what cost? It's all I had, you know.
It's so crazy. It's so beautiful. How do you feel like once you had Riley, like, because my thing, like with Camilla,
which I love her, by the way. They are, Riley and Camilla, they were so drawn to each other right away.
That's what I was saying.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Willie and I were talking about that, because I was telling him like how after, I think you had messaged me after I I don't know, I think when I did the first episode, right?
Before. Someone had reposted it, and I said, oh, I have to follow her.
And then when you messaged me, and then I was telling him, and he's like, wow, like, it's like God put you guys in each other's paths for a reason. And then when I seen the girls and how they were just like, I was like, oh, it's so cute.
They're the cutest things. So it's crazy. I've never wanted kids at all. I'm gonna just out myself, okay?
You know, that's so funny. I said that for years growing up. I never wanted kids.
No, and excuse me, put my phone on silent. But me and my husband had got married 5 months after Marley passed. And we had no plan on getting married, at least anytime soon, or having more kids. So then when that happened, I said, I never want kids again. Because you don't want that heartbreak, the potential of a heartbreak again. And then, you know, one day I pretty much woke up and was like, do you want to have kids? He's like, yeah, I want to have kids. So I got my both the kids are planned. So I got my birth control taken out. And it was crazy because it's almost like I felt guilty getting pregnant and moving on. I went for the first time, in which I do promote therapy, and if you need to talk to a psychiatrist, but that just, it wasn't the route that I was, you know, fortunate enough I didn't have to go on, and a church was enough, and my support. But I needed to go to therapy, and a lot of people don't know this either. I was maybe 3 months pregnant, and my thoughts was, what if I don't love her as much as I loved him? Or what if I feel like resentment from having...
That makes me cry, because I struggled with that so bad with Camilla.
It's such a personal thing. And when I talked to the lady, I went one time, in which I was like, okay. But it was enough. She just like was like, do you know that's normal? And I'm looking like, lady, I'm pouring my heart out to you. And you're just going to give me some generic? She goes, it's just a trauma response. And she broke it down to me. And she's very beautiful, intelligent, like, bless her heart wherever she's at. And she's just like, it's just a trauma response to block out the pain that you don't want to feel again. But you're not going to feel that. It's like, she told me, like, girl, it's not going to happen. And I was like, okay. And it's crazy because I was so scared to announce that I was pregnant. And I was having a lot of body pains. And it's like, as soon as I heard that, and then I posted I was pregnant, and all of the love and the support, of course, and then like my body just felt less tense.
Yeah,
it's crazy
it's
how
you hold it all in.
It was to the point where it was physically hurting.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? How was it?
With Camilla, it was like,
because how long did you guys wait?
well, she was unexpected. Okay. I had like, after I lost him, I went on like a 2-year binge, and I was just drinking every day. And once I got pregnant, well, the way I found out I was pregnant with her, I was at a party drunk, ended up getting in a fight, and I ended up punching my brother in the face. All right, guys, we had a little bit of technical difficulties, so we're just gonna pick up from where we left off.
We lost more than half of the footage. Yeah.
It's okay. The devil's not going to stop this episode from coming out, so it's okay
at all.
So we were talking about getting pregnant again after Marley.
Yeah, it definitely helped. I carried a lot of guilt when I got pregnant. I just felt bad for moving on, which it's not really moving on in a sense. It's it was definitely healing the second I had her. It's like as soon as they put her in my arms, everything went away. And I'm sure you experienced that too. Like when you're pregnant, you overthink, and I did go to therapy for it. And she just said it's a trauma response. It's your heart is protecting itself and your feelings, And I'm just thinking, like, this is not normal. I'm thinking I'm never going to love this child.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, no, that's normal. I'm like, what the heck,
Yeah, like how is that normal?
It was so relieving to hear, because we're fighting our own battles in our mind. And that's why it is so important to, like, not carry the load. Give it to God. Give it to also any support that you need out there. It's hard to reach out. I'm not always one to reach out either, but I knew it was physically making my body hurt. Like, it was just it felt like an elephant on my shoulders. It was so heavy, but she healed so much within me. And I know Camilla did the same for you too.
Yeah, I think too. I think that when I had her, I thought, like, I'm going to be like, it was like a snap of a finger, like I was going to be healed. And then when I didn't, I was kind of like, okay, what's wrong with me?
So like, it was like the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I struggled a lot. I think honestly, like it took like I said, her first year I did good. No drinking, but then I fell back in because I wasn't healed yet. I still was holding on to so much. And then I was mad at myself. Like I felt like a bad mom, like how do I not feel complete now that I have her,
I feel like no matter what your situation is, I feel like ours is very deep rooted in guilt and pain. But as a mother, we're always like, we guilt for everything. We go get Starbucks before we pick them up and don't get them a chocolate cake pop.
And you feel bad.
Why am I feeling bad? Mommy deserves a little drink, Or you're laying there at night like, I could have did better. You know what I mean? We always have so much mom guilt for everything, on top of having a history of kind of messing up and loss and pain, and you just like, so I carried that a lot too with Marley. I almost hated myself for it. Every night I'm like, God, like I'm not done loving him yet. I would just kind of be like, I'm gonna do better. And then I would feel that way every day, so it's good to just give yourself a break as a mom. Like, it's so draining. We choose to carry the load mentally when the fun is already there. I mean, it is stressful, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to like glamorize motherhood, because girl, the way Roman hits me, it's not glamorous. No. Boys are crazy. But with all the other like, deeper rooted stuff that hurts, it's so easy to just like fall into that. We know with Marley, I never felt that love at first sight.
Really?
No. I was like, oh my God, I knew nothing about babies. I didn't even know they wake up every 2 hours. I didn't know they can get a stomach ache. I didn't know you couldn't give them water till they're like 6 months old. Like all this stuff. So I feel you in that sense, like too with Marley. I kind of like struggled. Like I just fed him, changed him, went through the cycles. And then I had postpartum, and no one knew what postpartum really was. Wasn't that shown like much light on back then.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that could have been a mix of it for you too, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think also too, because I was already battling depression before I had her.
Okay.
So then once I had her, I still was kind of like trying to figure out like my depression from before, and then is it from before or is it postpartum, and like trying to like feeling like I'm being tugged, like you can't feel this way because you're a mom, like you have to have it together for her, and then feeling like I didn't. I beat myself up a lot for that.
Trying to navigate. I'm my own psychiatrist and therapist, so I talk emotions. Well, why am I feeling like this? Is it because I have daddy issues, or is it because I'm just not a nice person? But I mean, just
that one time of therapy paid off, huh?
Yeah. I'm now certified. No, just kidding. But it's so hard to navigate and holding yourself accountable for your own feelings and your past actions to like change them. So. I feel you, but I'm so glad because they are just the cutest girls that love to play together.
I know.
And I love how they instantly connected.
Yeah, from the very beginning. Yeah. Like they knew each other forever.
It was so cute. I was like, and then they had ran off and I'm like, that's not my baby, but I'm going to go over there. I was like, whose baby is this?
I know when we found out, you were like, wait, that's your daughter?
Yeah. They were running too far. And I'm a helicopter mom for like even obvious reasons. But even before then, I'm like, that ain't my kid, but she need to get back over here too.
You're too close to the tree. Come back.
Yeah, too close.
So funny.
And do you guys want to have more kids?
Yeah, definitely. We're just waiting, we're on that celibacy right now, trying to.
I totally thought you guys were married.
No,
the love is real.
Yeah. Yeah, 7 years and still not married. I mean, we've been through a lot, so we're working on it. We're getting there. I'm having a wedding next year, so
I told you
I'm putting that out into existence.
Yes, I told you we can do it Monday because I'm an officiant. And I've married 2 couples already. One of them being my sister and her husband.
I already know we're gonna watch this. Willie's gonna watch this. He's gonna be like, she's gonna marry us. She has to.
I did like a speech. I know, like you said, I'm like funny. Everyone knows I'm never serious.
Yeah, no, she's hilarious.
My family was like, I didn't expect that. I was like, no, I stayed up all night. Like, oh my gosh, wrote a whole thing. Was super like, oh, it was good.
Oh yeah.
So call me.
Yeah.
Or we can just do it on Monday. I'm always rushing for people to get married.
You're like, come on, hurry up.
Like, what are we waiting for?
Watch. He's going to watch it back and be like, okay, call her right now. Let's go.
I'm on my way. I'm on my way.
Oh my God.
No, but I do commend you guys because it's amazing that you're open about talking about that, because usually people do it when they're starting out in a single journey or like a self-love journey. But like, you've been with someone.
We have kids.
Have kids. You would have been out the door. No, I'm just kidding.
No, and honestly,
it is hard. I'm sure
he struggled bad in the beginning. He's like, I don't understand. He was mad. I don't understand this. We've been together for this long. We're practically married. I'm like, in God's eyes, though, we're not. Like, we have to, because when I started going to church, I was all in. Like,
yeah, that's amazing.
And he was very, very hesitant. Like, that first day we went, he sat outside the whole time. Didn't come inside. Like, nothing. So
yeah.
It took him a little bit, but he finally gets it. He understands, and now he's like, I want to propose to you at the right time. Like, he's like,
Monday, tomorrow. So then Monday,
yeah. So we can get married by Monday.
Yeah, no, but it is a beautiful thing because you're doing this together for a purpose, right? And you grow spiritually that way.
Yeah,
because
and I feel like we're learning too, like that doesn't define our love for each other,
I struggled with that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people think that, like, oh, if you don't have sex with that person, you don't love them, you know? But
the intimacy.
Like, yeah.
They'll try to paint it any which way.
Yeah.
Especially because we're women and men are required a certain thing from their woman, right? And it's like we're always under the pressure of that since like teens, young teens, and it's I've struggled with that too. And it's like the intimacy is so important, but you know, you learn the older you get, it's really just an action, and that's it. I mean, you know, like you said, unless you're doing it with under God, with your husband and a wife, it means more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really commend you guys for that, because I know that has to be hard, and people are probably like, whatever, like they're gonna get married anyway. But
no, there's people that are like, well, you guys have already been together. Like, I don't understand.
Actually, I don't think under California law we don't have common law. You know, in some states, I don't. I'll have to check. But I'm like, under God or California, I don't think. I think some of them there's is 7 years. Common law.
Yeah, common law. I've heard of common law before too, and I'm like, do we fall under that?
But you know, that's amazing, because it's a true battle, but you guys are really just doing it anyway for the higher purpose.
Yeah.
And he is going to marry you, and you guys are going to be, you know, and that's what I was saying is a lot of people don't know that Marley's dad is different than Riley and Roman's dad. And I don't keep that a secret. It's just my husband's the one that raised Marley. And, you know, me and my baby daddy, we're cool. There's no like bad blood between us, you know. But I wish, you know, we struggled a lot raising Marley. And his path was, you know, he had personal battles that he had. And I just said, God, I'm never doing this again out of wedlock. You will get so tired of the pattern until you change it, until you walk that path and you have God's support. Talk with God, and I'm like, give me a girl if I get, you know, do it the right way. And then look. We got married, and then I cried. Oh my gosh, I cried. Mm-hmm. And I kept my end of the bargain. I mean, yes, we, you know, of course we weren't celibate, but you know, I kind of met in the middle a little bit. Yeah. It's like I really commend you guys. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it's hard, but we're working through it. And then what about Roman? Like him being a boy.
Yeah, I did, and still struggle with that a little bit. I had got pregnant with, after Riley, it was a little bit shy of a year, and I was on birth control. I was on the copper IUD, and I had tried to cheat the system and like go to urgent care, because when you have Medi-Cal, it takes forever to get an appointment. Yeah. So I kind of learned to cheat the system and go to urgent care, and I'm cramping. Can you check? I'm pregnant. So you get an ultrasound. So I don't recommend that. Just get an appointment. But I just couldn't wait, you know. And I ended up finding out at 10 weeks that the baby didn't make it. The baby stopped growing, and at 6 weeks. Wow. And I had to wait 2 long weeks till we found out. And even losing like a real live kid, the miscarriage was so hard on me. We were so excited. And I had, you know, a client that came the night before I took the pregnancy test, and she's like, girl, I got pregnant with twins off of that birth control. And I'm thinking, what the heck? So
no, don't put that on me.
And I did. You know, everything happens for a reason. And the next morning, I'm like, I'm going to name this baby Lucky, you know. And then I cried. I was so happy, because we didn't want to have any more kids after Riley. We really struggled a lot with her, and she had like a lot of like behavior problems really young. So our hands were beyond full, and we were sleep deprived. You know how it is if you have a difficult baby, especially. So then, you know, I was just like, okay, well, let's try again. And then I blinked, and then Roman's here. It's crazy. You know what?
Did you do like a gender reveal, or how did you guys find out? No.
We just went. I'm like, it's my third baby girl. Dude, I ain't doing all that. Yeah, I'll post it on Instagram. Call it a day. You know, but it is. I see similarities with him and Marley, and even Riley too. But you know what? The thing I loved about it is, when I had Riley, I had expectations because I already had an experience with a child. and she was nothing like him.
Complete opposite, huh?
And I love that about Roman too. But it's just the similarities. Like, you know, if you guys are to get pregnant with a boy, you will kind of feel, and it almost feels like I feel messed up saying it. And I love Roman. Everyone knows, like, that's my baby. But you do kind of feel a little bit type of way. You know what I mean? Or I have a picture of all three of them in my kitchen. And I'm like, oh, that's Roman. And I'm like, that's not Roman. That's your brother.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
So
like, how do you explain? Do they ask? Or I feel like Riley's old enough, like, to
not
ask,
yet.
right? No?
I do now. She's like, who's that? Or like when I was getting ready doing my hair and I put this on, I wanted to do my hair after I put it on. She's like, Mom, is that you? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And I go, and your brother Marley? She's like, okay. Like, you know, she's kind of doesn't really know yet.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a journey on its own. But I talk about him in present tense.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm really good about that. I'm like, oh, well, Marley, you know, I keep his name alive.
Yeah.
But I don't talk about him in a past, like, you know.
Because you still feel him.
Yeah, of course. And I want his name to be brought up all the time.
Yeah.
You know, we'll get with, like, my aunt and, like, my cousins, and we'll talk about him just like memories like you would with anything, you know. So we don't make it, like, super depressing or awkward.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy is people have made me feel awkward bringing him up.
Really?
Yes. Like, and then so much, like, kind of like strangers or like maybe clients sometimes have made it weird, and not like my regular clients, so don't worry about it. They know I talk about it, but I'll be like, oh yeah, like, I have a son that passed away, and they're like, okay, like, you know, they just kind of, it's kind of awkward.
Yeah.
So but I'm gonna bring my baby up regardless.
Yeah, see, that's how I dealt with that when I miscarried. My friends, like my best friend that I was friends with, we had been friends since we were 12. She didn't know, like, how to understand, like, what happened, you know, and like I felt like she got uncomfortable, and that made me mad at her. But then, like, I had to realize, like, not everybody's gonna get it, you know, and it's not for anybody else to understand. Like you said, you went to the support group and stuff. Like, I wish I would have reached out to more people instead of just, I held everything in, you know, and I just hid from everybody. I got really bad social anxiety, which I never had. I've worked management since I was 18. Like, you can't have social anxiety. You have to talk to people, you know?
Yeah.
Working in retail industry like that. So after I lost the baby, I was very, very socially awkward. Like, I could not talk to people. I couldn't leave the house unless I was drunk. Like,
it's so crazy talking, because we're in a complete opposite. And all my close, like, friends that know me, they know that I make friends or, like, admire, like, people that are complete opposite from me, because I always look at, you know, admiring, and not saying I'm admiring what happened, but, you know, just the difference. Because me, I got thrown into it. I was already doing social media for work, like braiding and promoting myself. I had no choice. Don't get me wrong, I had a choice, but I was getting, like, random people at the mall. I will never forget. The next day we did a candle lighting for him at the spot where he passed away. And the girl that I bought the t-shirt from was like, oh, didn't your son just die? And I'm like, I went through that a lot. And I don't think people realize how much it happened to me. I was more like forced. Yeah. And then I chose to go back to work. I would say I took about maybe 2 weeks off. So I went after the funeral, that week after the funeral, and everyone was talking about it. Wow. So in a sense, I was kind of like forced to, like, break down that social awkward barrier, and people would,
especially like the industry that you're in.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And that's why I said I feel you, because you said you have to be kind of social. I felt like I was forced in a sense to where if I had to keep my flow, and bills still need to be paid, unfortunately, no matter what you're going through in life, and I had to go to work. Yeah. It was complete opposite. I had people kind of, they don't know how to say the right things either. People said a lot of things. Yeah. And, you know, I would also like to shine light on that too. Just I know people meant well, right? Like, you know. Yeah. But it's like, oh, but you guys are still young. You guys can have more kids. I'm thinking.
Not the point.
Okay. Or like, you know, the number one that I hate, and if you've said this to me, it's okay, I promise, or if you say this to other people, it's okay, but like, God gives his hardest battles to his strong. I'm thinking, that's really bold of you to think I was meant to have my son die.
Yeah.
Like,
no, yeah.
do you think on my qualification list, like, I'm qualified?
Yeah, she's qualified for this.
You know what? You're such a strong soldier. I'm thinking it comes off, they mean well. You could tell who means well, but I cut off a lot of people. My whole crowd is different now.
Yeah.
I had people that I talked to every day that I cut off immediately because they did not, one small thing, and I'm like, this is the most important, crucial part of my life. So I feel you on that.
That same thing I did. Once I lost him, I cut off people that I was friends with for years, like, because it's just, like, some people just don't get it, you know, and like you said, some people don't know what to say, like the right things to say,
and it's okay to empathize for someone and be respectful and not act like because even people would lose
make it awkward.
It's so funny when people make it awkward. I'm like, okay, like, it was crazy.
Oh, wow, it's crazy. So how do you feel like now in life? Like, how does Marley still motivate you?
My number one concern was my loyalty to him when he passed, so everyone knew that I was doing it for him. And as mothers, we carry ourselves to a higher standard, right? Like, in front of our kids, you don't really want to cry in front of them, like, or like argue with your spouse. Like, there's just kind of certain things you just like want to hold yourself to a higher. I'm thinking, oh man, my palms are sweaty, he could see everything. Like, that made me nervous. Right? So I continued on because he can see me, and I just didn't want to be like a cop out. I went all these years fighting for my life. I felt like I'm just on a mountain with no gear, with nails and claws clawing up a mountain. That pain hurts. You feel like you cannot move on. Your world stops. So I made it this far, and I could not imagine going back. It's something that I have to work at every day. I still battle with old ways, and I feel like I would be a lie if I act like I didn't. It's something that every day I have to choose to do better. And like I said, 7 years, 7 months, wherever you're at in any journey, right? Like, say you just don't want to be toxic no more. You don't want to be that way, then work on it every day. Give yourself grace, right? The other day I got upset and I was gonna take it there, and I'm like, okay, versus a couple months back, I let myself go back to just certain actions, not so much everyday ways, but
the way you react to certain things.
But I just don't want it to go in vain, because I've worked so hard to make him proud,
And you made it this far.
Thankfully. I don't take it lightly,
Oh, it's so beautiful. And in your career, like, so many things, like, you've gotten the opportunity to do so many awesome things for so many people. How does that feel? I'm
so lucky also. Just talking about how blessed I am, it really does make me feel good,
especially looking at where you came from, right?
Yeah, because it wasn't always like this. So if you're watching this and you're like, well, look at her lucky life. No. I always knew that I wanted to do hair, specifically braiding at a very young age. So to actually be doing it for a living is crazy to me. And to pour so much into my career, which at one point it was unhealthy how much I was focused on my career, because you can cope. Instead of alcohol, I was coping with work. There was days that I should have just not went and took it time to myself. But, eventually, yes, it paid off. And we're doing the jail program now in San Francisco.
So cool.
Shout out to Joanna. Basically, she asked me, she works out there and with kind of similar, just helping people in like the justice system. And she's like, hey, how do you feel about like teaching inmates how to braid? And I'm like, oh my God, I would love that. Because I've always watch those prison shows, like when they do like lock up whatever, where it's like they go in the prisons, and I don't know, just always been kind of curious about it. And I used to want to be a corrections officer. It's kind of fun, random fact. But you know, so being able to do both is crazy to me. I was just talking to my best friend about this the other day, because another county had reached out to me to do it for the juveniles.
That's so cool.
And you know, it was intimidating at first, because you can see that they're kind of like, well, who are you? You know what I mean? And some of them just weren't, they didn't care. But the more we just had to push, like, we want it for them. We want them to like have a trade where they can come out, make money. You don't have to like steal and sell, boost, whatever, go back to the streets. Just have kind of something, you know? So we had our first week in class was Monday this week, and it felt so good to see them kind of like be normal in a sense, you know? I know a lot of being incarcerated is like a fight or flight, like kind of life. You're surviving in there, you're not living in there. And I just learned, you know, which I would love to bring awareness, that there's not a lot of programs for women inmates. There's so many for men, and we're the first to do this anywhere.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's such a blessing. And I feel like maybe on Instagram people are kind of like, oh, that's so awesome, but like we have like a whole plan for them, so when they come out they can also get their LLC.
Wow.
They, depending on these women's cases or their, you know, how long they're doing, they do have the option to get early release from completing the program. Like, we're doing it for a purpose. It's not just to kind of like, oh, let's just like do braids and have fun. You know what I mean?
So when you went in there, they all were able to come out and hear what you guys were offering.
Yeah, and that was the crazy part to me. I'm under assumption that anyone that we're about to meet up with is signed up.
They already signed.
No, we went down into the pod, and I'm like where they live.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, it's like 40, 50 women.
Wow.
And it's crazy because they're like, all eyes are on us, and it's kind of silent. And then it is like kind of like you see on the TV, you got like people that are locked up upstairs, banging on the doors, and you know, you just kind of got stuff going on.
Yeah.
It was a little bit intimidating because we weren't aware that was where we were going.
Yeah.
But I think the trust is there now.
Yeah.
And we had a blast.
So how many women signed up?
There's 16 women.
Wow.
Yeah, and we don't know anything about them, their cases, how long they're going to be there. And there's 2 women that are the braiders that have been incarcerated for 8 years before.
Wow.
And one of my friends was fighting a life sentence, like got a life sentence, and luckily she got out. But one of them had said, we're pushing for like when they get out, but some women are going to be there for a long time.
Yeah.
Or fighting for a long time. And she's like, you know what, I was there and I was never hungry. You know, and it's crazy when you have to look at it in that sense, that it can even help when you're down like that, you know, doing hair. If you don't have any support, no one's sending you money, you can do it for yourself too while you're incarcerated. Inmates and people locked up are already looked at a certain way, and I feel like unless you either went through it or know people personally, you know that they're still people. But society isn't going to look at them like that. So, you know, these are people that are mothers, that are like daughters, that are probably raising their siblings. I don't know. They've probably been, you know, just dealt really bad cards.
Yeah, because you don't know what any of them had to go through to get to that point, you know?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate that the most I got in trouble for was a DUI, which is like in California, everyone has like a DUI. That's
everybody
nothing.
got one at least.
Yeah, but, you know, all the stuff that like I could have gotten in serious trouble for, you know, luckily I've never been in jail, did any time. So, but just knowing people that have been locked up and hearing their stories, like I got so much, like so many people like messaged me and were like, I wish we had that. Like, you're gonna make these women so happy. Because I'm like literally praying to God, like, please, can this just help one person, just one? Like, God, can you just like put on their heart that like I love them, and like I just want them to feel the genuine like me being there for them. I'm passing out papers and I'm like, hey, how you doing? And they're just like, some of them are like, so we're like, hey girl, like, you know, but I'm gonna treat them like they're just regular like people, because imagine, like, and not to talk about the system, but maybe some officers aren't having a good day and they get treated like certain ways, or you know, it's so important for us as women to also support women no matter what they're going through too, you know.
Because I feel like we've both been in a place where people judge, or, you know, like,
man,
and you don't ever want anybody to feel that, especially being in that place. Like, they're alone, you know. Some of them really don't have anybody.
No. And then they are, you know, relying on theft or illegal stuff in order to survive. And this is real life. This is what some of these women have to do. And some of them are addicts. I mean, some of them, they just, you know, got wrapped up in drugs, and you know, that's a story on a battle on its own. So when they're in there, of course, let's give them something positive to reflect on and give them hope. And then, hey, if you choose to, here are the next steps for when you get out. So I'm offering, when I do have my classes, them to come into my classes for free as well.
Wow. That's so exciting. Wow.
Yeah, it's so cool. Amazing.
And then your expos and stuff that you do,
man, those are crazy. So I would compete, and now I'm more of a judge. Because I guess I'm one of the ones that are kind of like been doing it a little bit longer. Like an OG, I guess. I started competing in 2018, and my first competition, I won first place. So it was crazy, but we really just go for the networking and the exposure, because if you're competing, more than likely people are going to post and tag you, or if like you're a judge, I'm gonna get put on a flyer, and like the people that are running it are going to post it and tag me. But it's crazy, because we are also, not just as women, but as braiders period, being involved in something. And it feels so good. It's like we're kind of like in that, like, it's still hair, but we're kind of left out of a lot of things. And now we're like involved in everything. So it's kind of cool to see like all of this happen. Like now we're involved, and it's like off the chain. So it's
there's
cool.
a lot of braiders. Like after I posted the thing this morning, I have never seen so many braiders. Like I got so many braiders followed me. Yes. I was like, wow, another one. I was like, wow, there's a big community of braiders out here.
Oh, we are so fortunate, because especially in an industry where it's so easy to hate each other, and be competitive.
Competition.
We'll be sending people, I'm like, hey, I can't fit this client in, can you? So we spread so much love.
That's
and
good.
I feel like that's a good reflection of who we are as people and as like artists, you know. We're super blessed. So it is nice when I have like all these like Instagram friends, and we can finally see each other after a few months. They do host them,
because people come from everywhere for those, right?
Oh, you know what, I actually had got flown out to be a judge too.
Oh, wow.
That's when it was crazy. They paid for my flight and the hotel. Most of the time, you don't really get paid for these things. Sometimes you will, but I was just on the plane like, I'm really getting flown out to do this, you know. That was a huge moment for me, on top of many other like feelings that, you know, in my career where I'm like, dang, I really made it. I still continue to feel that. I never get comfortable, because, you know, I'm so humble. Anyone that knows me, like, I'm just a regular girl, you know. I feel like people are like, oh, well, you do this and do that. I'm like, yeah, it's awesome. I don't look like I'm entitled to it.
But you do it with a humble heart and humble intentions. You know, it's not for the gain of you know.
I do it because I genuinely love it. And I always tell people, especially braiders, like, or anyone, I've been going to a couple colleges, like, to just do a demo and stuff, and I tell them I only lasted this long because I love to do it. And that's with anything. Sometimes there's plenty of times I wanted to quit, believe me, but I've only made it this far because I love to do it, and I stay humble. I don't let any like kind of big moment make my head big. You know?
That's so cool. It's exciting. Especially, like you said, you love it, you know? And a lot of people, they do their jobs and they hate it. And they're miserable, and, you know, and they treat other people bad because they hate their jobs, you know? So.
And I'm pretty much like the only one who kind of does hair. So I was on my own too. And I see people that work their office jobs, or maybe it's not an office job, but just hypothetically speaking, and they hate it and they're miserable. So I wake up every day like, dang, I'm living the dream. Or even what's today? So yesterday, I just posted last night, I'd like to thank all my clients who keep me in business. Like, I love you guys. I'm still saying that, and I'm almost 9 years in professionally. You know, still showing gratitude to everyone.
Because are you in San Jose?
So I work in San Jose and San Francisco.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, but there's times where I just sit back, like, so I'll be in my 9th professional year in January.
Wow.
I know, and I'm like, man, thank you guys. I love you, like, for coming to me. Like, I get to do my dream job. And it's crazy.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah, thank you.
So is there anything else that you feel like you want to share, or that God put on your heart to share and tell people?
Well, yeah, I think it's, when you hit me up, it was just crazy. And I know you said you took some time off.
Yeah.
And then, you know, divine timing that you hit me up.
I feel like I feel like I always knew you were gonna be my first guest.
Really?
Though. Yeah.
I was when I seen it before you even posted the first episode, I was like, oh, I gotta follow her. Like, I have to watch this, you know. And I did watch your first episode too, and to do something like this at this time of year, and just for both of us, right, to publicly speak about our pain is so important to me. You know, Marley had been gone, it'll be 7 years. 7 long years, but I've always put myself out there. I didn't know what else to do. I would put myself out there to help someone else. And maybe they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Or I'm like, it was more like a reach out for help for me too. Like, maybe someone will reach out to me, and people did. You know, if anyone is watching this that has lost a child, my best advice would to be reach out to someone who also lost a kid. Reach out to me, and then I know you said you're open as well. And it doesn't matter what walk of life that your child was in the womb, out, grown, a teenager. It doesn't matter.
Your child is still your child. Yeah, no matter
we
what.
welcome you into our community that we all never wanted to be a part of. And that's what got me through, because no one else knew that pain. So when I'm talking to someone that it was like they finally understood me, it was huge. It changed everything. And to just be the support that you want to receive. Yeah. I mean, of course, you're not supposed to give it with intentions of receiving back, but at the same time, spread the love so it could come back to you. Yeah. I feel like a lot of the support became because of who I am as a person. And a lot of people, they see my heart, you know. There's complete strangers, like in the hundreds of people messaging me every day for a very long time throughout my journey. And imagine if no one did. Like, you might just say something nice to one person, but that's maybe all someone needed. I remember I would be up late. I would have such a hard time sleeping at night, and someone would randomly message me. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know how huge it was to me. The hardest part is, I feel
the same way with you, though. When you messaged me that day and you sent me that long message, I was like, oh my gosh, I wanted no idea.
I wanted you to feel so normal and not alone. But that's the thing. I, of course, didn't do it with intentions of anything. I wanted you to know. But it's because that was poured into my cup. So I know what it feels like. And am I shy? Yes. A lot of people don't know I'm shy. You know, I didn't really go up to you at first, but like, I'll follow her and I'll kind of wait to message her. But, you know, I still didn't let that hold me back. Yeah. It's so hard. And it's crazy because when I was driving here and I was trying to think of, okay, like, what am I going to say, or what can I talk about? You know, you go through the hardest times alone. And that's not a secret, right? Yeah. And you're going to have to love yourself. And I think throughout everything, that's what I learned. I had to stop being so harsh on myself. I'm only human. And, you know, you can have everyone against you, right? If we're making mistakes and we're not healing correctly, everything's a part of the process.
Yeah.
So if you're messing up right now, that's okay. That's a part of the process too. And someone needs to tell you that. And baby's gonna be me. It's okay to mess up.
Yeah.
It's all a part of it. But everything has a purpose, and everything's gonna be okay. There's times I like really just looked out for someone to say it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And I never got that. You know, people are like, girl, you know, this pain ain't never gonna go away. And it doesn't. You learn to live with it.
You're
it
like,
grows,
I know. Yeah.
It grows in size. It lessens. But I just was so desperate for someone to tell me everything will be okay.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the most basic like thing, but sometimes that's what someone needs for them to survive, to live. Like, imagine at your lowest, someone just stopped you and was like, you know, everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You probably would have fell.
I would have fell on the floor. You
busted out crying.
Yeah.
And I want to be that for someone. You know, my sister just lost her husband, which is one of my best friends of 18 years. And
when I seen that, and when you told me that, I was like, wow. Like, especially because of everything you went through, it's like God prepared you to help your sister.
Well, that's what she said.
Yeah.
She moved into my house the day we found out he passed away. And, you know, we spent long nights together, car rides together. And I said, you know, everything's going to be okay, right? She's like, I know. I said, no, I know you don't feel like it will, but I promise you it will.
Yeah.
You know, and that was a whole new pain because he hasn't even been gone a year. And I lost myself. I almost thought I was going to go crazy, which is crazy. Everyone's probably thinking like, oh, well, you already lost a son. Like, no, this hurt me so bad. And it hurt to see my sister this down bad and my nephew and niece to not have a dad no more. And to share every walk of life with a friend, school, graduating, bad decisions, partying, becoming parents, trying to get money, trying to get further in life. And it really tore me down this last year. I have not been my best. There's been a lot of things behind the scenes that not a lot of people know that I was going through, you know, like it was just so hard. Like, there will always be hard times. Basically, but it will be okay. So if you're sitting there crying like, no, well, this is going on, that baby, it will be okay. I
feel like some people too, like they think like, oh, well, when someone gives their life to God or surrenders to God, like everything's perfect for them. No, we still
when I had converted to, you know, being a Christian at 15, and I got saved. And we grew up Greek Orthodox, but my mom was really supportive of me, you know, becoming a Christian, and she was fine. And I'm like, dang, I thought life was supposed to get easier. You have that like misconception as a Christian or like getting saved or with whatever religion you're like going to. You're like, oh, all is good now. Maybe it's not. You just have that armor and that weapon not weapon, but you know, you got the heavy armor that you're equipped. You know, and I have so much to thank for, you know, when it comes to God just lifting me up through losing Marley. I have no other explanations for what he carried me through with that. I'm telling people thought I was crazy. Like, oh, she's going to snap. Like, is she okay in there? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. I mean, I wasn't, but I had hope. And I did anything, you know, anything productive, try it. I tell you, I look crazy going to these random churches by myself, like each week until I found, you know, Captivate. And I tried anything positive because guess what? If it doesn't work, I tried it.
Yeah.
It's so hard to push through that.
It is.
But it's like you're not going to regret it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kind of like a workout.
Yeah.
You don't want to do it, but are you going to feel good? Yeah, you're going to feel good.
You're going to like the results after.
You might be a little sore, but out of breath. But, you know, that's my thing. And I was thinking on the way here, you know, leaving that hospital and pulling out of the parking lot and looking in my rear view to like reverse out into the parking spot and seeing an empty car seat. You know what I mean? Like, that was the first thing on my mind. Like, let me just talk about that moment. Of course, I already knew, like, I lost my son.
Yeah.
But that hit me like a brick, like, oh my, tons of bricks,
And I feel like a lot of people don't understand when you lose a child. It's not just, oh, I lost my child. You have reminders all the time.
Yeah, and kind of just looking back at that empty car seat that wasn't going to be filled again by him was like, oh, this is real. You know what I mean? And I had no idea how I was going to get through anything. I had just got freshly sober. I was finally getting my life together. I just got my first apartment that I really couldn't afford, and it was only $900 back then for a 2-bedroom in Stockton. Wow. Yeah. It's affordable now if you look back, but I had nothing. Yeah. Our beds were on the floor. We got most of this stuff from OfferUp for free. Mm-hmm. Like and it really hurt me because it's like, dang, I did everything I was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. I was still climbing my way, though. I didn't, in a sense, let it stop me. It was just a different feeling and a different path. You know what I mean? So just try anything. And I read books. I'm telling you, joined chat rooms. I don't know. Some stuff is not for you, and that's okay too. I kept surrounding myself in environments that poured into me that would help. And if it didn't, I cut it off fast. So I feel that's what brought me to like all these people that are around me or come across like my way that I deserve. Because I'm on that path. Yeah. And if you're not, you're getting in the boot real fast. You know what I mean? Or if it doesn't serve me, like, period. Or if we don't have like the same, kind of envisions of our lives, like, in the same sense, then goodbye.
Yeah. I feel like
it's okay to let go.
Yeah, because that was really hard for me too. Like when I fully surrendered to God, like I even just got sober. Like I feel like my friends like dispersed, and like my friends that I had, like I grew up with them from kids, and it kind of hurt. Like why is no one supporting what I'm doing, But even like family, like I had family that seen me at my lowest, and then once I started to heal and give my life to God, I was unhealed and I had problems. It's like you sometimes you can't win, No. And you just have, like you said, if you're not serving a purpose in my life or, aligning with my morals or what I'm standing for, and that's one thing too, like I don't ever try to push it on people what I'm doing now, like
I feel like a lot of people have that. Well, some people they do try to push because you'll come from a place of good intentions. Yeah, you want everyone to feel this.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll tell people, like, I'll just tell people what he's done for me in my life, but I'm not like, oh, you should do this or you should do this, because I have like now too, like if I go to family parties sometimes, like some of my cousins will be like, oh, like they'll be drinking, they'll be like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, you don't gotta say sorry to me. You gotta take that up with the Lord.
Yeah, listen, baby, you could drink that 40. I don't care. It is not stopping what I got going on, And that's how I was too. If I had to excuse myself, I had to excuse myself. Like, hey, everybody's drinking. I lost Marley when I was young, and all we knew how to cope was to drink.
Yeah,
like 25, you getting lit, regardless.
Yeah, no matter what.
So, that was crazy too. Getting sober, of course, changed my life. And to get sober before he passed prepared me,
And that was God.
Oh my gosh. When I tell you I prayed to him, please give me that apartment and I promise you I won't drink. I'm telling you. And then when my aunt, I would never forget, she's like, come on, let's take a shot. And I was like, yeah, I took a shot. And I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. It didn't hit the same. And I lost him that next month. So then when people ask, oh, like, how can we get sober? I will say, like, kind of generalize it. Like, oh, because my son passed away. But I got sober before.
Yeah.
And I think with a clear conscience now. I also tell people, do I still have the urge? Yes.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I want to have fun with everybody. I want to get, kind of feel good, dance a little bit, but I'll do all that anyway.
Yeah.
I would drink when I wanted to enjoy myself, not kind of when I was going through something. Some people cope that way. I was like, no, I don't want to feel bad and be drunk.
Yeah.
I want to be drunk when it's a good day, So that was just a part of me that saved my life, and with God too.
Yeah. Because too, like, for it to be a month or 2 months, you said 2 months before,
a month
before,
the month before,
yeah, that, because I'm sure if you were not sober when he passed, it would have been a whole different story.
It's so easy in my industry to drink.
Yeah,
we can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
I'm in a barber shop.
Yeah.
Okay, they do whatever they want there. So it's just, there was that breaking point for me that month before he passed, or a little bit right before I quit. Me and my husband had got into it, and I jumped out of the car was moving.
Oh yeah.
And it was like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was mixing alcohols and doing other stuff that I shouldn't have been doing, and I was mad at him because I was drinking. I don't even know. It basically, he didn't do anything. I was just being toxic, and I tried to get out the car, and he made a left turn on a one-way because he had to make a left, and I got out, and I fell on the concrete, and I blacked out. I thought someone was helping me into their car, and it was him. I didn't even know.
Wow.
I went, and I thought it was just a random person, and I was bleeding for a few hours. I don't even know how I survived that, truthfully.
Wow.
I filled up a whole pillow full of blood, and I still have like a scar from it. Wow. Too. It's just, I got so tired of myself.
I think that's one thing that stuck with me too, when you messaged me and you're like, the regret that comes after you do it is not worth it.
It's not worth it if you know that you are going to do something that you should not do. And I would do that. And that's, well, you weren't drinking all the time. It's when I drink. And that's when the addiction came into it. Like, I had got sober before, and then ironically got pregnant 4 months after I had quit drinking, and then stayed sober for almost 2 years, relapsed, whatever. So I had known what it's like to be sober, but not really. Like, I was pregnant half the time, and then had a newborn, breastfeeding, whatever. But holding yourself accountable feels so bad. That guilt feels horrible.
Yeah.
You're waking up the next day looking at your phone. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I don't even remember what happened last night. Then it starts getting scarier when you don't even remember how you get home.
You wake up and you're like, how did I get here?
I woke up in places that I don't even know whose house it was. Like, it just got so bad to where I wasn't myself.
Yeah.
I'm always fun. I can be fun, but that wasn't fun.
Yeah.
And I made excuses. Oh, I'm a single mom. I finally have a night off. I should drink, or you know what? I'm going through this. I should be able to drink. Yeah. I was making excuses, and at the time, because I was younger, I looked at it like it was okay because I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just was more like a lifestyle, I guess, than anything, because the people around me were doing the same thing. But they were still getting up and having jobs. I didn't have a car. I didn't really have a job. I was just, a single mom on welfare, a young mom, and a drunk.
Yeah.
Like, just being real.
Yeah.
And that's when I just kept making excuses. And then nothing kept changing. And then I kept getting tired of being broke, feeling resentful, and I just had to change one day. And it took a few months that me and my husband, we cut people off to really just grind and like figure out what we're gonna do. He was sneaking me in his house, me and Marley in his house. Like, we, I didn't go through the best like times where I had like living situations weren't good. I had like stayed in a house, like a friend's family member's house, that they would smoke dope in there.
Wow.
And like openly do it. Like, I'm having Marley, he was like one, just run into the living room when they're like lighting up. Like, this is real life, what I went through, some crazy stuff. or like sleeping in my, like when I did get a car, like sleeping in my car a couple nights, and it's like embarrassing. I had to change, and I had to be that person to change. I was waiting for my dad said he was going to let me use his car and help me with this. And then, you know, he did me really wrong when I needed it. And he had his own addiction that I didn't even know he was getting high again. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like a domino effect. And I'm like, I got tired of it. I struggled a lot. A lot of people are like, man, she's so blessed. Yes, baby, I am. Thank you. But I also, like,
you don't know what it took to get.
I had to, and no lie, and like I said, I'm not glamorizing none of this stuff, but like, you know, I used to like sell drugs and like help sell drugs, right? To mix a little bit of money. So when I got pregnant and had Marley, I was like, I'm never doing this again. Unless I had to. And I did one time, and no lie, I literally, which God forgive me, he knows my heart is good now, I used that money just to get a bus pass and get a birth certificate and go to the Social Security office so I could qualify for welfare. I traded all that in to live a welfare life.
Yeah.
And it was so worth it. Like, it was worth the struggle. I got us to where we needed to be, and it's unfortunate that he didn't get to live through the rest of this.
Yeah.
But I had just got my life together, and it took so long, and I would have to walk him to the daycare and then walk to light rail and then only take 6 stops and then walk a mile from the light rail to work just to work a part-time job. You know, like, all of that stuff was so worth it. So, like, if you're struggling out there, please just know, like, it's so worth it. If you know, sleeping on the air mattress, people love that story. But they don't like when you're sleeping on the air mattress. They just like the story. Like, back then, people didn't mess with me. And I'm thinking they just, because they got it like that. You know, you kind of feel like, whatever, they're in a better position than me. That's why they're not messing with me and they're judging me. No, I wasn't doing anything about it.
Yeah.
I didn't see clear enough, though. You know what I mean? So it's a lot that I had to hold myself accountable for and love myself through. Like I said, that was the main part. The more I hated myself, the less I got done.
Yeah.
And the more mistakes I made.
Yep.
Because if you love yourself and you forgive yourself and give yourself grace, you're going to make the better choices. Or at least try to. Remember, I'm not perfect either.
Yeah. And if your heart, God, like you said, God knows your heart and what you're trying to achieve. And, you know, like,
yeah.
Again, like, too, like, no matter what you're going through, like, and even if you can't understand it, it's God's plan for your life, you know?
One thing that stuck out to me, I believe it was in the first episode that you had posted, was I think you were walking late one night by yourself or something.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I remember that because that's a true example. And if you guys should just go watch it, you know. But
yeah, I was like 16, drunk, blacked out.
And that's the thing. That's what the path feels like, right? Like, just in a hypothetical sense, that you're by yourself in the dark at night, no one's there, anything could happen to you.
Yeah.
Because you feel all this negative energy, all this evil, everything is, the world is against you, the world hates you. And you're by yourself on top of everything else.
Yeah.
But I remember that stuck out to me because, in a sense, that's how it feels like with whatever you go through. Losing someone, losing a job, your partner left you, or like, you know, your family is just like disrespectful. Whatever you're going through, it feels like that.
Yeah.
But to push through that is even harder.
Yeah. Especially, like, I always say, like, you can't change someone that doesn't want to change.
Yeah.
You know? And that's one thing I struggled with. Like, I had to want to change. I had to want to get sober, not just for myself, but for Camilla, you know?
Yeah.
And I had to want it because anybody can tell you till they're blue in the face, like, stop drinking, stop doing this, stop doing that, you know? But if you don't want to do it, you're not going to do it.
Yeah. And that's what, you know, I did ask permission. I would like to clarify because I talked to, you know, my husband before I got here, and I said, you know, can I talk about anything? Are you okay? He's like, yeah, you know, say whatever you want. But, you know, he took things the way you did too. He didn't leave the room for 6 months and drank himself and did just really bad choices. And it drew us apart and it tore me down. I'm like, man, how can he do me like this at a time like this? Man, you guys would not believe. Like, it tore us apart so bad, but it was just within himself. And that was a part of me that everyone's like, girl, couldn't have been me. Because you know what? God will place that on your heart. Look past that. I know who that man is on the inside.
And he's hurting he was so before bad. That. Yeah.
And you know, he was there when he passed away, so he carries a lot of guilt that I will never understand. And I always kind of felt that for him, even though there's times I should have focused on myself, but I was so focused on like getting him better, and it didn't work. You know, so that was something that we struggled with a lot, was the differences with going through that with someone. You know, and
you guys were grieving in different ways,
and everyone grieves in different ways. And excuse me, it's something that you also got to give other people grace to. I feel like, why would I go through all of this and act like I'm better than anybody? Right? Like, oh no, I'll be the first one to be like, girl, I've been there. Like my clients will be like, girl, I'm done with him, like he did this and that. And then the next one, they're like, still with him. I'm like,
I love him.
Girl, I'm been there. You know, don't judge, but be that person too. Just really just act in a way of no judgment. Because who are we if we're walking this path, and if we believe in God, and if we believe that God carried us through all these things, who are we to point at somebody else's
because
journey?
Look at the he accepted us with all of our baggage, everything we went through, you know, like, so who are we to be like, oh, those people aren't worthy, or you know, like this person shouldn't come to Christ, you know, like that's not our say. It's his at the end of the day.
This time of year, of course, is like the worst day I've ever had of my life, right? But I just look, and all I think about is God, because he just placed on my heart, like, you know where your child is, he's safe. He's okay. Now, you ask anyone else, they're like probably saying a lot of bad words and like, my baby's gone, and, you know, all this stuff. Like, you know how it feels. And I really just felt that love when I should have felt something else that probably the world would have told me to feel. And I didn't have hate in my heart. You know, I had a lot of I had a lot of stuff happen around then, and you know, a lot of people had stuff to say about the situation or about this or about that. And then, but you know what, when there's loss, there's ugly. Now all of a sudden family want to start fighting and all this stuff about people's whatever.
True colors come out.
Death brings out ugly, and I've always said that. It's so unfortunate, but I kept going. It hurt at the time, and it still hurts to like look back at that. I'm like, whatever, you know what I mean? Even stuff that interrupted my son's like funeral. And I'm like, be for real. Like, have some respect for a child and their homegoing.
It's not about you.
No. And
I feel like that's what a lot of people do too. When you go through a big loss, people like to make it about them.
Yeah, I stayed on the back burner. I'm like, this is my child. You feel what you feel. You do that. Because it does not matter. I'm walking this path by myself. And
you're his mother at the end of the day.
Now, did I want to? I did. I wanted to do a little, you know, 1-2 step on somebody's face, but it's okay. I did it. You know, I stayed true, and that's what a lot of people give me credit for. But I just think of the outcome. A lot of people just think with emotion, and like I've said, it's a blessing and a curse that I think that way. I'm very factual, very, it's black or it's white. So there's nothing I could do. So now I just got to keep going. But some people don't think like that. They think with emotion. And then they react off of emotion, you know. Just be a better person, because it says more about you. And then you're going to reap the benefits of being a good person. And it is the most basic, generic advice, but it's so true.
It is. It really is.
Yeah. I don't think I would have gotten this far if I had a different attitude or a different, you know, outlook on life. So I'm super fortunate in that way to have been carried by God, to just him from the second it happened, to be like, don't worry, this was already written, it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Like, who says that after they lose their kid? It's like, I'm telling you.
Yeah, it was God.
He placed that on my heart, and I still feel like that, you know. I would love to know what he looked like. He would have been 10.
Wow.
Yeah, and his dad is super tall, so his dad's 6'5", and everyone thought Marley was a little bit older than he was, so I bet you Marley would have already
Been tall.
Yeah,
But maybe almost as
yeah,
tall as you.
that's not hard to beat. Like, my poor children now, but I'm 4'11", so they're yeah. No, I do wonder what he would look like, but I feel him all around me, so it is a blessing that he shows his love for me still.
Yeah.
For sure.
He loves you, and I know that he's proud of you.
Yeah,
he is.
you.
Especially coming on here and being vulnerable and sharing, because I know it's your first time. And
anyone that knows me that will ask me, I'll tell my business, even to a stranger. I don't care. Some people keep very reserved. I don't.
Yeah.
I think it's my job in this lifetime to say everything.
Yeah.
Just to see if it'll help somebody else. I would love to be mysterious and quiet, but I people wondering. I'm like, yeah, I'm mysterious. That is not my character. I'm like an overshare, if anything, but it's for the greater good.
Yeah.
I know there's times I really wish somebody would have overshared and said something that they later on I found out about them. I'm like, dang, I wish like I would have knew this. You know? So.
That's how I feel. I feel like now I'm an overshare, and like before I was so scared to talk about anything, but I feel like God is putting me in a lot of positions to have to share. Like,
you are going to help people, and you are going to give people a sense of security that they need to feel. And, you know, even with doing this, you're going to heal yourself.
Yeah.
You're going to help people. You're going to heal yourself. There's going to be times that you are going to help people, women, and you're not out of time in your life, maybe, or like the day you're having to help, but it will help you.
Yeah.
There's times where, like, tell you, people would message me, hey, my whatever lost their kid, or someone would message me that lost their child, and I'm just like, dang, you don't even know the type of day I had, but it didn't matter. I'm gonna still show up and show out for you anyway. Like, you are gonna be that hand that people need, and then you're gonna look back and you're gonna be like, I'm hugging the girl that was hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then your baby's gonna be like, that's my mama right there.
See, and that's one thing. I don't know if you remember when I shared for the baptism. I'm glad that she's gonna remember me as this woman, not the woman that I was before, you know? Because we want them, obviously, I'm gonna share with her everything I went through, you know? But I want her to know God got me through it. Yeah.
You will be backed in a corner until you have no other option. I was looking because it's 9:29. I'm like, that's crazy because it's 9:29. But you're going to be backed in a corner until you have no other options. And God's be like, hey, I've been here waiting for you. Like, where you at? Like, I'm here. And that's the thing. You realize God never left you. You just like scattering the earth, looking for other things to worry about, to be anxious about, to be, there's so much stuff.
Focusing on the worldly things. And I feel like, too, that's what a lot of people think. Like, they think that they've done so much wrong, or like they've hurt so many people that God's not going to accept them. But God met me straight in my mess. Like,
and like, I will always just be so like human about it. We're still gonna kind of like mess up. You know, there's kind of ways that I've acted even recently, and I'm like, dang, I really can't believe I let myself get like that again, you know. But I'm just keeping it real because I'm able to give myself that grace. You know what I mean?
Because you know who you are.
Yeah, and I'm still learning.
You know your heart. You have a very humble heart, and it shows in everything that you do.
That is one thing that I'm like, you know, at the end of the day, I love everyone for the most part, and I want to see everyone happy. And I am gonna be that person that's gonna talk to that cashier at the grocery store that's talk about her problems, or the stranger or the whatever. Like, I'm one of those, you know. But I'm still learning, especially with like stuff that happens in my life, with more loss, with financial problems, with, like kids, and like, oh my gosh, like just everything. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
But you have that foundation, right? When you wake up every day or when you go to bed, it's just you and your thoughts, right? And I'm just like, God, just thank you for today. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, you know what? Things aren't that bad because they can get fixed. I've really been showing a lot of more gratitude because internally in the last year, I have not been grateful because I've been struggling.
Yeah.
And there's been things that have been just really painful for me to go through alone. And I know at the end of the day, I'm like, God loves me. Like I tell you, I've been saying that lately. I don't care. God loves me. It's okay. God's happy. God's happy with me.
Yeah.
You have to just keep telling yourself that until you believe it, because it's true.
Yeah.
God's happy with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so excited for this to come out. I mean, we had those technical difficulties, but like I said, the devil wasn't messing up nothing.
No, not at all.
We made it through, and I just want to thank you for coming on and just being vulnerable.
I thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so glad.
I am. And even though we talked about especially me going through all this stuff, but like what you're doing is so amazing. And it might right now just feel like a project in the works, but like you're doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important too, because whenever someone starts something new, you kind of don't really know. You're kind of winging it. You're kind of like, okay, it's hard to be consistent because you have work, kids, whatever.
Yeah.
Like even if you took a break, right? But you're still doing it, like actively.
Yeah.
Not, oh, I'm working. I know you're doing it. So that's a huge deal. There's been so many times I'm going to say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But like here we are, and here you are, like giving me the safe space to do so, and like for us to reach out to other people. And it's because of you. So I would like to thank you too, girl. And everything that you've been through also to help me. Because I'm telling you, it's like you know, of course, they're like, oh, you used to follow me like back then. But like you gave me something back in me that I needed. And it's crazy, like, to think that, right?
Yeah.
Like, you probably would have never thought. You're like, oh, she got it down. But I'm always inspired. And especially talking to you, like, things have been kind of opposite for us. And I admire that about you. Because guess what happens? Now we're still on the same path together.
Yeah.
To where life takes us different ways, and our attitudes and, like, how we feel about, like, things could be polar opposite.
Yeah.
But life will put you, like, where everything is going to be okay, you know?
Yeah.
So I'll just say congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, girl.
I'm so glad you came on.
I love you so much. And
I love you.
And I love your baby.
I
She's
love
so cute.
I know. They got to have more play dates.
Yeah. Is there anything that you want to close off with?
No, just thanking you and being vulnerable and just it being your first time, you know, and just being strong through it. Because I thought we were gonna cry. I forgot the tissues. We cried a little bit in the beginning, but
we didn't even start recording, and she said something to me, and I'm like, I didn't wear mascara. I did double concealer. Now you telling me you don't have no tissue?
I know.
Yeah, and I'm
the flowers.
I'm not a crier, but like I said, I did cry when you posted the video, which was super nice of you. Thank you for posting that I was gonna be on here. I cried before I took a nap. I slept it off because it's just the way, like, look at life. Look at where I'm at now. Even this, like I said, this time of year for me, for us to do this is crazy. Yeah. And like you didn't know it was Marley's anniversary.
When you told me, I was like, oh my gosh.
It's so
and I'm honored that you wanted to do it on this weekend because
it's hard.
Yeah.
It is so hard. You're putting me also in a position to heal more, because you know my chest started hurting a little bit this morning because I was like, my best friend's like, oh, like, how you feeling? This week is the anniversary. I'm like, you know what, for once I'm feeling okay. Girl, today my chest started hurting. Like, you know, like, and I was like, man, it kind of hurts. And then you know, then you posted that, so it kind of like made me tear up. Just like, look, like, it is very sad, but like I said, it will always be something that I will find good out of it, because Marley put me in the position that I'm in today.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact, and this goes for anyone that's lost anyone, including you with your baby, they're not the ones that want to see us sad.
Yeah.
They would never want that for you. So if you feel like you can't go on or this is unfair, it is very unfair, you know, but do it for them if you don't want to do it for yourself. Because that's what I did.
Yeah.
Like, to heck with what I want. I'm going to just do it for him at this point, anything I do, you know. So just make the person that you want here with you physically, but maybe they're not, just do it for them because they want to see you succeed.
Yep.
And I know your son is just like, wow, look at what my mom's doing in honor of me and what we went through. That, like I said, people don't make it out alive.
No.
People pass away from losing children. And here we are. And it's such a huge accomplishment. Yeah, so I commend you.
And we're here to help the ones that feel like they can't, you know?
And luckily, there is a lot of resources out there now. So if you are struggling with addiction, there's no judgment. You also feel free to hit me up. I can find any outlet you need or any person. There's so much help out there. And if you guys haven't already, please, 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 I will buy it for you. There's fentanyl test strips on Amazon, or I can see, you know, maybe if we can have any in the area that are free. Fentanyl is out there.
It's everywhere.
And that's I would also like to say that too. Buy test strips. If you know realistically, which I hope you will quit, but just be safe out there. There is free Narcan.
Yeah.
In the jails. You're free to get it, and other places too. If you need a resource and you just like, you know what, I'm ready, please let me know. I will always believe in the person that has no one there to believe in them. You know, and I don't care what you've done or what your situation is. I would rather you know that you have one person against, you know, with you when the world's against you. So it's something that not a lot of people like to talk about, especially at our age where every partying looks fun and all this stuff. But just be safe out there.
Because it's real. People really lose their lives from that. And again, too, like if you are struggling with addiction, the church we attend, Captivate, they have recovery classes during the week that you can attend. Don't ever be afraid. I feel like church and like those groups are like a safe place for you to be able to talk and
especially Captivate.
Yeah,
I will say that if you also are hesitant when it comes to church or church people, this is definitely the place that you don't have to worry about any of that. There's all walks of life and everyday people. They're, you know, it's a great place to go and meet people that want to help you.
Genuinely.
I went there at the worst and the lowest part of my life and received the most love and direction for people who just wanted to help. So if you are struggling with addiction, please contact me and I can try and help in any which way.
Yeah, me too.
And if you know, and if you did lose a child, I hope that you're watching this and you don't feel alone. And I'll also try to connect you with any resources as well.
Yeah. Oh, thank you again. So I can't wait for everyone to see this. Just want to thank you guys all for tuning in. Episode 4 will be out soon. Shoot, who knows? We might just take this thing over together.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm ready to talk about God and talk about my life and talk about everything.
I think we might. We'll see.
Yeah. Oh, I did actually have one that sorry.
No, you're okay.
As my Bible app is telling me to remind me to pray. I do have something that maybe since we started with a prayer that we can end in one, and I better have it in here because I remember when I came back and I chose to give my life to God again recently, and I stood up, did the whole thing in front of everyone, raised my hand, and Pastor Vivian had put, was like something. Oh my gosh, now I can't find the app that was just telling me to remind me to pray. Let me find it, because you know what it was talking about is that it's gonna turn your cold heart, it's gonna be non-existent anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that would be, now I'm trying to find it. Sorry guys.
No, it's okay. We want to hear it.
Okay. And this is, I would say I better have it because I knew I put it in my notes. I saved it in my notes. So we are in Ezekiel. Oh my gosh, come on. This is 25, but I have to find, sorry, one more time. Yeah, you know, that's what I really need to hear, of course, right? Like, you're going to hear what you need to hear when you go.
Mm-hmm.
My heart was so cold with, like, accepting love, receiving love, like, and not just in, like, a romantic, like, it's just period.
From people. Yeah, it's hard. It's really, really hard.
Yeah, and it says, and I will give you a new heart, and I will put a new spirit in you. I will take out your stony, stubborn heart and give you a tender, responsive heart. And that was what I needed to hear. Because everyone looks at me like, oh, she's so cute, all just like happy and like daisies and flowers and whatever. And it's like, no, inside my brain, it gets to that point.
Yeah.
And I, you know, hopefully someone else needed to hear it too, that if your heart is cold, it's going to change. Just, you know, just have faith that it's for you. This message is for you.
Yeah.
It's not just for anyone, it's for you. So I think that was a good verse to end on as well.
Yeah, it was. And don't be afraid to surrender your heart to God. It can seem scary. It can seem like it's impossible, but anything is possible through God. Yes. And I feel like we both are a testimony of that. And just don't give up, because it's so easy to just give into what the world wants you to do and how the world wants you to cope. But just once you give it to God, the peace and the understanding that you get from it is something that you can't even explain unless like you've done it. And it's scary. It can be really scary to be like, I'm giving my life to somebody that I don't see, you know, that I don't know. But everything that we go through in life, He's with us, especially the hard stuff, you know. So just, I want to remind anybody that's watching this, you know, just don't give up. Keep fighting, you know. Like I said, we're both a testimony of that. Just never giving up and pushing through and trusting God, and you're going to make it, and you're going to be okay. And again, we're here for anybody that, you know, needs to reach out, whether it's sobriety, child loss, mental health issues, you know, addiction. We both have a lot of resources that we could help out with. So anything anybody needs, please don't be afraid. We're the last people you should be afraid to reach out to.
For real.
Because
been there.
Yeah. Like, we're here to help. So
yeah.
Again, I want to thank you for coming on.
You.
It was so good. Even with the technical difficulties, we made it through.
Man, we lost a lot of good footage.
I know.
But it's okay.
Yeah,
what needed to be heard is what is recorded. So that's fine. No, thank you. And thank you for turning, like, especially this weekend is so hard for me. Yeah. Something that I was looking forward to. So thank you, girl.
I love you.
I love you.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you for episode 4.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.